Okay, we are live. Peace to all of you. I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God in the name of His Son, who the world calls Jesus Christ. Welcome to the Sanctuary of Saints, where our mission is to develop and mature the children of God while building a self sustainable community. Though being inside the sanctuary is strictly for the children of God, I encourage all people to listen that they may live, mature, and one day be of service to the Most High through His people. This series, Women Thou Art Loosed, has come to a conclusion. We've done a 2 month series, 2.5 month series for the women in particular. Okay, this series has been for the purpose of building up the daughters of Zion in the faith and helping them to navigate the issues of life. The series has been structured to build on itself. So I encourage you, if you have not watched the previous lessons, this is going to be your first one. You will still be edified from it. But it is very important that you go back and rewatch from the beginning so that you can grow properly. It's not good to take certain bits and pieces of a puzzle and try to fit them in places that they don't go, or be incomplete in the puzzle. So you want to make sure that you rewatch the entire series and work on them. Each class is not something that you grasp overnight, right? A lot of these classes will take some time to properly implement. My bad. I'm sorry, Clubhouse. All of these things that we've spoken about, right, over the series have and will be necessary to implement in your life over time. Okay. So you have to go back, rewatch, okay, apply, refocus, meditate, fast. All these things are important. Okay. In today's lesson as well. Today's lesson is going to be a culmination, if you will, of all of the classes. Okay, now I'm not going to do an in-depth breakdown, but I want you to keep that in mind. Okay. Excuse me, y'all have to excuse me today. Sinuses and things like that are acting up. Okay. So if you have any questions as a sister about these lessons now or in the future, as I've been saying before, reach out. Right? If you need any wisdom concerning a situation or situations, feel free to reach out. Okay? Now, it's important, as I was saying, to recap. I'm not going to, skip over everything else, or excuse me, skip mentioning everything else before doing this lesson. We're going to do a recap so that you guys can be locked in and focused on what we've done so far, what we've learned so far, what we've been implementing so far, and then receive the Proverbs 31 breakdown that we're going to do today. And we're going to be going into understanding what virtue is, or what a virtuous woman is according to the text. And then all of the qualities of a virtuous woman. All right, so I want to give a brief recap. I don't want you guys to take this recap and say, hey, well, it's the first time I heard it. I don't need to go back through the rest of the classes because he gave a recap. Okay, but I am going to give one. So the intro was the elephant in the room. And that was to understand men are failing in leadership. The Most High and other men have to rectify that problem. That problem is not for you to uh, continually complain about. It is not to be the cause of prohibiting you from moving forward in your righteousness, in your faithfulness. and staying in order. But it is something that we acknowledge and it's something that we have to work on as a nation. But that is not going to come from you complaining about it. That is going to come from the Most High through His Spirit rectifying the situation and raising up men to deal with men, okay, on that level. So that was the first class. Next was what you need to do first and foremost is to fear the Lord. That is what you should do first and foremost. So, in order to truly fear the Lord, you have to subdue your own will and understanding. That's what you have to do. You have to subdue your own will and understanding, and then it has to conform to the will of the Most High. That is the first thing that you want to do before you begin to look for a husband, before you begin to look for a congregation. And that would mean you have to read the word for yourself and then begin to walk in its righteousness. Okay? You want to begin to walk in its righteousness, listen to, brothers that the Holy Spirit leads you to listen to and answer your questions and things of that nature. But you have to deny self first and then conform to the will of the Most High. And that is what true and proper fear looks like. This will result in the beginning of your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of all things godly. Okay, so that was summation of that class. Look in the mirror. This class was about self awareness, being aware of who you are, how you've gotten there, the traumatic experiences in your life that have caused you to become the person that you are today, and the situations that you've been through. You should look in the mirror consistently to see where you need to go in life, where you need to progress to. Okay? What kind of person you know you are to be. Discipline yourself, judge yourself. That is looking in the mirror. Okay? Accountability and self awareness. That was what that lesson was for. Next was what did you say? What did you say? So this is going into the understanding of the power of your words. The power of your words. They are a matter of life and death. When you speak and how you speak is essential to the growth of our nation. Okay? Next was the sisterhood. So the sisterhood can be the most dangerous place for a sister. We talked about the dangers of the sisterhood if it is not in order. If the previous classes have not been weaved through all the lives of the sisters in the sisterhood. Okay? But when it is moving in proper order, when it is functioning properly, the sisterhood is for the purpose of exhorting the people and provoking each other to and through good works. And that is what the sisterhood is for, and it is necessary. Next, we went to understand the men in your life, how you ought to be dealing with men and understanding your place in respect of men. This is when we begin to now focus on the authority and how you deal with the authority. And we went into the importance of why men are your covering, okay, and why you need to have a covering through the duration of your entire life, no matter what your status is. Doesn't matter if you are single. It doesn't matter if you are married. It does not matter if you are divorced or widowed. You need to have some kind of covering and yield to that covering. And that is going to also be your greatest decision, excuse me, that you make. It's going to be the greatest decision that you make. Now, obviously, some of it you don't have a choice in the matter of, like who your father is, for example, or who is going to be your next of kin that takes care of you. If you're already in a marriage, you're in a marriage and you can't get out of that, right? Through my lesson, you can lawfully. But nevertheless, even if you are in a situation where it is uh, unfortunate, you are being oppressed by the authority figure in your life, it is abuse, then your next recourse is to fast, to pray to the Most High, and He will get you out of that situation one way or another. He will remove you from that situation one way or another. And we talked about how to navigate that. We talked about how to deal with men who are righteous and men who are unrighteous and staying in order. All right. Next class, we went into the beauty of a woman. Right? The beauty of a woman. A woman's beauty is the strongest force on earth outside of the Most High. And we established all of these things that I'm saying and recapping, we established with scripture. I'm not going to do it now because, as I said, it's just a recap. A man loves nothing better, and so it has been the cause of the rise and fall of kingdoms. It meaning a woman's beauty. So we talked about the importance of that and how she should be displaying that beauty, what it is for, right? What it is not for. Okay. Now, it is for your household, it's for your eventual husband or your husband. Okay. It is not to be utilized in whoredom. It is not to be utilized to accomplish your own will. Okay. So that was that class. And then lastly, we went into a woman's ministry. Woman's ministry. Every woman has a ministry or service to others inside the faith. Every woman has a ministry or service to others inside the faith. A woman's ministry is essential to moving the nation forward. However, it should be done decently and in order. There should be oversight, right? There must be oversight in a woman's ministry. The processing again and implementing of these classes into your life through fasting, prayer, meditation, trial, and tribulation will transform you into a virtuous woman. Okay. And that is what this class is going to be about today. So, again, please, please, please go back and rewatch all the lessons. They are a step by step process to becoming what we're going to describe here in this class. Okay? Now, I do want to be realistic when I tell you that this virtuous woman to actually encapsulate what Proverbs 31 is talking about is no small task. It is very rare. The women that we have spoken about in these classes are considered virtuous, and their stories are examples of what their virtue looks like in action. So when we talked about the history of Susanna, when we talked about Judith, when we spoke about Deborah, we learned about our foremother Sarah, when we mentioned the sister Phoebe, for example, all of these women who were mighty in scriptures, right? Mighty in our scriptures. These are all what are considered virtuous women. But just because we went through these scriptures doesn't mean that that kind of woman is the norm. Just like a righteous man isn't the norm. These are what me and my brother Isaac were talking about called outliers. So a woman who is virtuous is going to encapsulate all of these things that we see here, and that is rare. A virtuous woman is something that you, as a woman, should aspire to be. It is not something that you should at all think you are. So I want to put this lesson into proper perspective. This is the culmination of what a perfectly mature woman looks like. This is not something that you say or think that you are. Again, it's something you aspire to be. There's so many women that have Proverbs 31 in their bio. And if you put Proverbs 31 in your bio or you speak about yourself in this way, it is a clear sign that you're not a virtuous woman because you would lack the self-awareness that is required. You would lack that what? That lesson looking in the mirror. If you looked into the mirror on a daily basis, you wouldn't consider yourself a virtuous woman because you would look into the mirror and then you would observe the things that you need to change and fix about yourself. You're too focused on improvement to see the good qualities and to, well, I wouldn't say see them, but I would say focus on them, perceive them, right? To the point that you now recognize yourself as that and you don't see your flaws. You don't see your errors. You don't see the things that other people can see and talk about that would make you not a virtuous woman. So, you will find that when we go through this lesson, most women get eliminated. But the lesson is not to discourage you, it's to encourage you to say, okay, well, this is something I know I definitely am not, but I need to work on this. If you have a lot of these qualities, all praises to the Most High. Other people could consider you virtuous. All right? Maybe. But that is how I want to make sure that we begin understanding a virtuous woman, what a virtuous woman is and is not. So interesting enough, when I looked up the word virtuous in Proverbs 30, okay, so we go to Proverbs 31, and this is what Aharon is going to be reading. All right, let's read that verse 10. Proverbs 31, verse 10.
God, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 31 and verse 10.
Mhm.
Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies.
Stop. So, who can find a virtuous woman? We're going to talk more about the first few passages of scripture. But when you look up that word virtuous there, virtuous is the word kayil. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's Strong's H2428, which means a force. That's what it means. A force, whether of men, means, or other resources. An army, wealth, virtue, valor, strength. That is what the word virtuous means in that passage of scripture. So, of course, we have our own understanding of virtue when we think about a virtuous woman. We might think of her qualities, right, that make up virtue, but the actual word itself, it means it's a force. It's a force of righteousness, we'll surmise it as. Okay. So a virtuous woman is a force that pushes a nation forward through a combination of great skill, a tireless work ethic, and an infectious personality. As I said before, should be needless to say, there aren't many of those kinds of women. Why? Because it takes a combination of things that the Most High has to put inside it. Right? Number one, it takes a transformation of the mind, which most women won't undergo. They refuse to bend their will, to break their will and submit to the Most High. So that would have to come first and foremost. But then there's skill involved. So you have something unique. You have a unique quality about you, right? A very skillful quality about you that is noted, right? And that could be a bevy of things, whether it's your wisdom, like Deborah, or you're able to, perform some type of art, like making clothes and things like that. It takes a combination of things. And then you have to actually have the care and love for your people to push that skill forward and to make other people great. You have to then, on top of that, do so with an attitude and a personality that other people admire and flock to. Okay? And then you have to do that tirelessly. Can you see why it's very difficult to be what would be considered virtuous? You have to do that all the time. The issues is people get on your nerves. People are rude, they're inconsiderate, they're disrespectful. You have to endure all of that while maintaining the other things I just described. So you have a transformed mind. You don't see things as what you want done. You see things as what the Most High wants and what we need as a people. That's what you see first. And then you have an extraordinary skill to push that forward. Other people are drawn to you and say, wow, this is an amazing woman. We need to help her. We want wisdom from her. We want guidance from her. Right? And then you have to be tireless. I use that word as well to describe it. You have to be tireless in that. That means there's no days where you know, just don't do anything. You know that there's a song that says, today I just don't feel like doing anything. You don't have those days if you're a virtuous woman. We're going to talk about that and cover all of that in today's breakdown. This is what Proverbs 31 is saying about a virtuous woman. Yeah. So now you could be all of these things, but then it's like, man, I'm beat, I'm burnt out, I'm tired. Whew, all right, which I mean, I don't know women that don't say that. I'm tired. I've been doing a lot. I've been running around all day. I need a break. The virtuous woman never needs a break. She never tires out. You might say, man, well, that's impossible. Dumb. That sounds impossible. Who can find a virtuous woman? Okay? So now with that, let's get into class. So the chapter begins with a mother teaching her son who, excuse me, the son who is a king, right? So it's not just any ordinary relationship. This is a relationship of high status. It is a mother instructing her son who is a king on how kings should behave, how kings should not behave, how kings should judge righteously. What would cause things, uh, what would cause a king not to judge righteously? So she says things like, hey, don't give your strength to a woman. Don't be a drunkard. It causes you to judge unrighteously. Judge the poor and the needy righteously. Okay. So it starts off with her educating her son, giving her son wisdom, which is what a wise and virtuous woman would do. Okay. So Proverbs 31, for all of you women, right, is literally a woman teaching her son, the king, an important life lesson, a lesson about who he is, what his responsibility is, but also the kind of woman that excels all the women he can have access to. Okay. This is what Proverbs 31. I'm not going to read these first. We're not going to read these first 9 verses, but that is the summation of what's going on. Okay, so now let's read verse 10.
Gone is the book of Proverbs, chapter 31 and verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies.
Kings can have any woman, but this kind of woman adds value that cannot be estimated. It says her price is far above rubies. Rubies is a fine and precious stone that is considered by some invaluable itself. But it says her price is far above that. So it's describing that this kind of woman is invaluable. Okay. This kind of woman shifts the balance of power in a nation. Read verse 11.
Gone, verse 11. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her.
Stop right there. Good night. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her. Read.
Gone. So that he shall have no need of spoil.
Read.
She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life.
Stop right there. What this is saying is that the virtuous woman does not blow the bag. I'm going to put this breakdown into layman's terms. She does not max out the credit card. You know, there's a lot of relationships where the husband says, "Man, I when I give her my card, I already know what that means." And she asks for this. She has this Amazon spending habit, and she's buying the whole Amazon store. We have packages coming to the house every day, and she's breaking the bank. I have a need to spoil. Now I need to go out and work another job. I need to go out and make more ends meet because she is ruining the bag. This is what this is saying a woman, a virtuous a virtuous woman doesn't do. This man can trust her with the budget. He can trust her with the card, right? He can trust her with the keys. He knows it'll be okay. How many of you women can be trusted with the keys? How many women can be trusted with the budget, with the credit card, with the finances? His heart safely trusts. My fortune, right, is not going to be destroyed by you. That's all we have nowadays. All we have, by and large, are women who are looking to suck dry the fortune of a rich man. But this kind of woman is not like that. She's not trying to become married to a rich man to go 50-50. That kind of women, the women that are in these uh, child support case courts, I'm trying to get $1 million from my baby dad, they can never be considered virtuous. They're never considered virtuous. If you are a gold digging woman, right? And there's levels to it. So you have a gold digging woman, and then she's definitely out of it. But then you have just the wife that her job is to sit there and look pretty and to spend all of your hard earned money on getting her nails done and her feet done and not doing anything around the house. That kind of woman, too, is what we have in the nation by and large. So your husband has need of spoil. He has need to go out and provide more. Other men in your life have to go out and do more for this kind of woman because you blow the bag. He can't trust you. But if you are a virtuous woman, he can trust you with that. He can trust you with his finances. And on a spiritual and emotional level, he can trust you with his feelings. He can trust you with his problems and his emotions. There's a thing in the world that men say, I find to be true. Do not vent to your woman. She will find you weak. She will then utilize that against you in an argument at a later time. She will hold it against you. She will not respect you. So, on that level, a man can trust a virtuous woman with his issues, with his problems, and she will add to that. She will comfort him. She will restore him. She will come uh, to him when he is in need, and she can see that. She will be sensitive to him. That's how come we have, the memes on social media that say things like, you women have all this intuition when it comes to a man cheating, but you don't know when he needs something or when he's tired of you talking too much, for example. Okay. You take advantage of his weaknesses. A lot of women, you do that. You're not virtuous. You're the opposite of a Proverbs 31 woman. A lot of women who do that have Proverbs 31 in their bio. So this class is also for exposing women who have Proverbs 31 in their lips. All right. Speaking Proverbs 31 things about themselves. They have Proverbs 31 in their bio. But as I'm going through this class, they're not this woman. Or you might be so far. A lot of women have to check themselves out of this thing with those last 2 points alone. Truly do an assessment to see where you are. As I said, it's the rarity we're going to see. Okay. So she's not going to spend all of his money. She's going to protect his feelings. She can be a counselor to him, if you will. That's what it goes into when it says safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. So she will not do things to agitate him on purpose. She will not do things to upset him on purpose. She will be in compliance all the days of her life. She will not do things to get on his nerve. She will relieve his stress. She will sense that he has stress to be relieved. This is what the Bible is describing as a virtuous woman, a woman of force, right? Of a righteous force. Now, let's continue to read.
Come. Verse 12. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands.
Mhm.
She is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar.
So, this kind of woman is very industrious, and her production is like clockwork. That is what this is describing. A woman who is very industrious. She has a skill. She has a skill, and it is very profitable, and it is efficient. She's willingly working with her, and the skill has to do with working with her hands. Right? She's gleaning in the fields like Ruth, okay? Or she's making different ornaments and garments. She's skilled with her hands in some fashion. Right? She has healing hands. She can, you know, massage or whatever the case may be, and it's very efficient. You can expect it. It's like clockwork. This is what's going into the tireless work ethic. Okay? It's every single day. You can expect it. You know what she's going to do. It's going to be consistent, excellent work. Okay? For a large group of people. When you read that and it says, she is like the merchant ships. Merchant ships bring goods for entire communities, entire nations. And people will be looking for these ships because they have need of what's on them. What's on them is as good as life. So it's saying this kind of woman provides life to many, many people, right, through her endeavors. Again, if you don't have anything major going on like that, too, on top of everything else, you have to kind of X yourself out of being called a 30 Proverbs 31 woman, calling yourself that? What enterprise do you have that assists other people, that raises us up? You might say, well, I do have a little LLC in place and we got our business started. Okay, all praises to the Most High. You're on your way. Let's read on.
God, she is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She rises also while it is yet night, and Salakia, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens.
Mhm.
She considereth a field, and buyeth it. The fruit of her hand is the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard.
Stop right there. So now, not only does she have an enterprise that other people are thriving off of and can expect consistently, she then is active in her own home and ordering it from morning to night. That's what this is describing. A woman who she's waking up before everyone, she's ordering everyone's day, and she's giving instructions to people that are inside of her house. Notice, too, she has people inside of her house to give instructions to as well. Okay. So that is what this is going into. So now she has an enterprise, but then within her own household, whether she is, she's married or, daughter to a king or whatever the case may be. This is a woman of status, by the way, spoiler alert. But she also is taking care of ordering her family's daily operations from morning to night. So when you see those TV shows, and then the mom, she wakes up before everybody, she washes the clothes, she makes the eggs and the toast and the orange juice and the pancakes and things like that. And then she sets it on the table and she calls up and say, everybody come down and eat. Food is ready. And then she also got all the lunches prepared for the kids to go out to school. She got the husband's lunch prepared. That's what this is talking about, on top of her running this business too that everybody else is expecting. So she organizes everything and everyone before they wake up. She's up first. That goes into being tireless. You're tireless because you just had a business operation you ran the day before, right? You left that operation, you went to sleep, and for maybe a few hours, and then you woke up, and now you're getting everybody's day started. That's what this is saying. She is the starter of her family's day here in these passages of scripture. Okay. And then it says, she considered a field and buyeth it. So then now she has a business, but now she's saying, okay, now I want to add to my family even further. Oh, how can we do that? Okay. I like this here. I like that there. And she goes and buys it. Now, I don't want this part right here to be confused with, hey, she has to make her own money. Okay. If she has her own money, that's good. But realistically, this is saying she is maintaining or advancing or making more of money and resources for her husband. That is the model of the Bible. The model of the scripture is the man generally has the wealth, he creates the wealth, and then the woman, she takes that wealth and adds to it. All right. She doesn't take that wealth and diminish it like the first few verses was talking about. She would take that wealth and she would add to that wealth. Okay. And you see stories, rare stories like that at times. Okay. So that is what this is going into when it reads, she considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands, she planted the vineyard. So she would use that money. For example, when you seen Abigail, we spoke about that story. What did Abigail do? Abigail quickly took the resources that her husband refused to give, that was going to get them all killed, and then gave it to David. Okay, so this is what that looks like practically. She considereth a field and she plants it. So now, not only does she identify a way to expand the empire or the house of her husband or her father or whatever leader she's under, she then goes and does the work in the field too. What I want you guys to notice is that this woman doesn't have much downtime. This virtuous woman doesn't have much downtime. When you want to kind of kick your feet up and, I'm just going to turn on some Netflix. I'm just going to watch some Real Housewives or what other type of crazy shows you guys like to watch and be entertained by. There's not much room and time for those things in this scenario. This kind of woman isn't preoccupied in pleasure. Okay. So now let's read on.
God. Verse 17. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff.
These scriptures are describing a virtuous woman's mental fortitude and tireless working. That is what this is describing. This is describing a woman's mental fortitude. This kind of woman doesn't break. She doesn't have emotional breakdowns and crash outs. That's what it means when it says she's strengthening herself. Right? She does go through emotional things and people being mean to her, people mistreating her, and things not going her way. And she has a cycle every month. That is painful, but she strengthens herself. Right? She doesn't need people to come over and give her a pat on the back when things are not going her way. Or when she's overwhelmed with just being tired. Oh my gosh, this is so much. Oh man. She strengthens herself. She's her she goes in prayer, she goes in fasting, right? She gets help from the Lord and she stays in character still, even when adverse times hits. That's what this is describing. And then she recognizes who she is and her responsibility, even though she's now, hey, I'm down right now, I'm having a bad day, I'm on my cycle right now, but my merchandise is good. My people depend on me. A lot of women during that time of the month, especially, you shut down. You shut down, and then you are a dragon and a demon for about 4 to 5 days, and then you come back. A virtuous woman isn't like that, though, right? So you should be thinking to yourself, this woman is unreal. It doesn't exist. So I don't know who has not been eliminated thus far, okay, from being a virtuous woman. I'm just keeping it 100 with you all right now. This has eliminated many women. We're not even done. So the kind of woman that is virtuous, her mentality is such that she doesn't need. Now that is not to say she won't accept it or she won't be gracious for help. She won't be accepting and gracious for encouragement and the pat on the back. And that doesn't mean women don't need that because they do. But it is not going to, excuse me, getting a call, but it is not in any way, shape, or form going to break her. It is not going to deter her from doing the rest of the things that make her a virtuous woman. It says she will strengthen herself. Okay. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the staff. That means she's strong, she's resilient, and she's not easily swayed. Okay. She's not easily distracted. She's solid. Things don't rattle her. She strengthens herself. Her mentality is sure. Read on.
God, she stretcheth out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy.
Mhm.
She is not afraid of Salakia, she is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet.
Right. So this is now describing a virtuous woman's compassion and love for those in need. So there has to be that element as well. So you're doing all these things. You're not having the best of day, but you see a poor brother or a poor sister that you can help out. You see that they have need of clothes. You see that they have need of food. And although things aren't going well for you that day, although you've been cursed out and abused and unappreciated that day, you kindly go over and you help that person in need. Okay? Imagine doing that after a terrible day. That is a virtuous woman, though, because she is selfless. That's what being selfless looks like. If you can imagine yourself doing that in that situation, you can disqualify yourself from being considered in the virtuous woman category. Okay, so she stretches out her hand to the poor and the needy. She's not afraid of the snow for her household. It says, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. So scarlet is all of these things that are going to be listed here in these next coming verses are clothes that are of great value. They are the Gucci's and the Pradas, if you will, of that time. They are the high-end, expensive clothing. So it's two things in this passage of scripture. One is there's foresight. So the foresight to know, hey, this is coming, this situation is coming, and I'm going to get on top of the situation before it gets on top of our family. So she's not waiting for winter to come. She's not waiting for the problems down the road to come. She addresses them ahead of time. We're making this clothing, these garments for that time where we're going to need them. We don't wait till winter comes and says, "Oh wow, it's cold. I think I need to make some clothes." So this is literal, excuse me, and metaphorical. Literal in that, yes, she will have them prepared for all seasons at that time, but metaphorical seasons as well, right? Seasons of drought, financially, seasons of drought, spiritually. She can foresee these things and she prepares. So then you also have to have foresight, which disqualifies most women. Most women are reactionary, they're not visionaries. Okay. So that is what this is describing, a visionary on a deeper level. Keep reading.
God, she maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land.
Stop right there. So a woman like this is dressed elegantly. That is the tapestry. That is like we talked about scarlet. We talked about silk. We talked about purple. Okay. These are all the high end clothing. So she's dressed elegantly. She's not in leggings and a bonnet outside. All right. With flip flops on. That is not what a virtuous woman is going to look like physically. So now we can start to see some uh, physical qualities of a virtuous woman. Of course, she's beautiful. That goes without saying. All the women that we describe as virtuous in the Bible, or that the Bible describes as virtuous, always go into beauty. She's beautiful, excuse me, beautiful and of a fair countenance. We saw that with Abigail. We saw that with Judith. We saw that with Susanna, right? These stories that we talked about, the virtuous women, they're beautiful and they're dressed elegantly. Okay. They're not dressed uh, like whores. They're not dressed immodestly. They're holy or separate, even what they wear on a day-to-day basis. You got Proverbs 31 in your bio, and you at the gym in leggings on with your leggings on. All right. Now I'm not gonna act like I'm not gonna look, but I don't think you're virtuous though. I know what kind of woman you are. Okay. So you're disqualified. You're just simply disqualified. You're out there, you're looking like that. You got your, half naked pictures on social media and things like that. You're disqualified. You're not a virtuous woman. She's wearing elegant clothes. Right? Hey, I just kind of, it is, it's just funny to see, we got the situation the brothers talked about last week, the brothers and myself talked about last week with the pastor. I think it's Pastor Brian. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, and his wife who is doing the whole not wearing any clothes thing, and it's okay, all right? Or it was like a real nasty looking dress. But that woman would think herself, she has a ministry and all of those things, apparently, all right? Not a real one though. She would think herself to be a Proverbs 31 woman. I think if you ask her, she might consider herself this until we get here, though. Right? That would disqualify a woman like that. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. That means this kind of woman is attached to someone with status. So, brother, you don't get a virtuous woman, right? You don't get one. You don't deserve one. You don't know what to do with one. All right. This kind of sister, she is for one with status. Okay. Status is connected to her. All right. And for obvious reasons. Look what she's doing. She has a service that feeds families. She feeds her own family. She's dressed elegantly. She's beautiful. She is the model example of what a woman should be like. Do you think she's with a nobody? Right? Do you think that she's with a nobody? Person of no value or no importance, who have not raised themselves up and leveled themselves up to someone who is a noble. So a lot of brothers is like that you're pushing your wives to be quote unquote 31 women in Proverbs 31 women. And you're taking them to these scriptures and say, see, you're supposed to be doing this, that, and the third. Or you're supposed to be someone of importance. Same way. It's a double-edged sword. Like brothers should really stay away from this passage of scripture, from Proverbs 31, and teaching it to sisters and beating them over the head with it, because they can also knock you over the head with this point as well. This is who her husband is. Are you a man of renown, known in the gates? Where is your fruit? Where is your wisdom? Who are you? Who are you to tell a woman she needs to be virtuous, or to even have a standard of a virtuous woman? Oh, I need my woman to make all the money, to cook and clean for me. Excuse me, to order the house. What? While you do what? Who are you in this thing? A woman like that is for adding to a man who is significant. Okay. So I just wanted you all to keep that in mind. Let's now advance. Let's read verse 24.
God, and it's the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, and verse 24. She maketh fine linen, and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant.
So this is continuing on in her skill, continuing to highlight her skill. And when we talk about making garments and things of that nature, back in those times, that is essential. It's still essential right now. Everyone has to wear clothes. You cannot walk around naked, and your clothes do say a lot about you. Okay, who you are, right? What you represent, your character. So it's very important what this is describing. It's talking about a kind of woman who is very impressionative. I think that's right. Impressionable. I think I'm trying to say that. Impressionable, right? With her sense of fashion and style, and then getting others clothes as well, right? A virtuous woman can sew. I mean, that's that's the thing. That's what we're seeing here. I guess I have to say that, right? I'm not saying all women have to sew. I'm not saying all women can sew, but a virtuous woman does. Okay. So again, I don't want you all to let me see what these comments are talking about. Let me see what these comments are talking about. I haven't stopped to check. Just kind of been on a roll right now. All praises to the Most High. But you you can see how much a virtuous woman does on a daily basis. What her schedule looks like, what her skill looks like, what her mentality is, who she would be around, who she would be associated, how she would look. All right, let's go ahead and continue to read.
God, verse 25. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come.
Strength and honor are her clothing. Now, we already talked about the clothes, or it already talked about the clothing that she has on from a physical standpoint, but this is talking about obviously spiritual clothing. So when the Bible talks about clothing like this, of this nature, strength and honor, it's talking about what a person's character and makeup is. Right? Clothes are a symbol of appearance. So this is symbolic of who you are as a person. So strength and honor is saying she wears it. Right? That's a part of her identity. It's a part of her makeup as a person. Strength and honor are her clothing. So her spirit is clothed with beauty, right? Strength and honor. That goes back to that class. I'm not gonna, like I said, if you paid attention to the other classes, as I'm going through this breakdown, you can hear, oh, that's where the other class ties in. That's where that class ties in. So you should be doing that as well. Okay. So it says strength and honor are her clothing. There's something that I wanted to say about that. So, yes, she is resilient and she has honor. She's honorable. And in time, that combination will grant her eternal life. That's what that means when it says she shall rejoice in time to come, even through situations like what we see in the history of Susanna. So when we read that verse again, I want you to read it again, verse 25.
God, it's the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, and verse 25 again.
Hmm.
Strength and honor are her clothing,
Hmm.
and she shall rejoice in time to come.
So an example of what this looks like is the history of Susanna that we read. Right? The only chapter I'm going to read it, verse 22 and verse 23. It reads, Then Susanna sighed and said, I am straitened on every side. For if I do this thing, it is death unto me. And if I do it not, I cannot escape your hands. It is better for me to fall into your hands and not do it than to sin in the sight of the Lord. This was when she was in a situation where men had oppressed her. They had put her in a position to where she had to commit adultery or be put to death. But strength and honor were her clothing. And she was able to rejoice out of that situation when she was spared. The Lord raised up Daniel. He exposed the lie, right? And she kept her dignity. She kept her honor in the face of adversity. So this here back in Proverbs 31 is going to a woman's morality. She does not uh, yield her morality. She doesn't take the bag, right, to dishonor her body. She doesn't do it. She doesn't sell her soul and dishonor herself. Okay? She trusts in the Lord with all her heart to deliver her out of all troubles. So it just speaks to her morality here. Go ahead and keep reading in Proverbs.
God. Verse 26. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness.
She doesn't talk so much, but when she does, what she says is wise. And everyone takes note and everyone commends it and or adds to it. That's what this is saying. And when she speaks or gives instruction, that's going into the law. It's going into her instruction. When she instructs people, it is in kindness. It is in a way where people receive it, right? And then they will do it. They will do it because they know what kind of woman this is, number one, saying it to them. Because the woman that's saying it to them is the kind of woman that we've described in the rest of class. But then they won't say, I don't like how she's talking to me. Or I don't like her tone. I don't like her attitude. I don't like that. It seems like she thinks she's better than me. People won't get that out of her words. Now, there's some morons who will find something wrong with everything you say, but by and large, people won't do that. Like the law of kindness is in your mouth. So you're speaking with wisdom when you do speak, and then when you're instructing people, because you are instructing people, you will be instructing people because you manage household, you manage business, right? You help the needy, right? So there will be instructions that you give that people will need to take a listen, a note of, and follow. But when you speak and give instruction, it is with kindness. All these things, though you might not be, you should aspire to be. You should think, I should be this in this situation. I know this point right here that the brother was speaking about, I struggle with, but I'm going to work at it. That is what you should be thinking. This is not for you to hang your head and say, I can't be this kind of woman. He was right. This is for you to, like I said before, strive to be. Read on.
God. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness.
So again, this is highlighting the foresight that a woman like this would have. She is not going to wait for situations to get on top of her and her household. She'll get on top of those situations herself. She's not going to be lazy. You're not going to have to remind her and tell her to do the responsibilities that she has to do. All right? You're not going to have to hold her accountable all the time. All right? She does that herself because she constantly is looking in the mirror. She doesn't eat the bread of idleness. She's always focused, always paying attention, always looking ahead. Read on.
God. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her.
Read.
Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all.
Stop right there. So these two passages of scripture goes into the praise that you're going to receive. This is how you would know if you're a virtuous woman. You're not thinking you're a virtuous woman. You're thinking, I'm not a virtuous woman. These are the things that I need to be working on to become that. But others, your household, they will say things like, you are the greatest mom ever. Thank you so much. We love you. Because they will recognize that you do everything for them. All the things that you do, they will recognize when they are asleep. Mom was up 5:36 in the morning, getting our breakfast together, getting our lunch together. These are things that your household notices. I know a lot of you women, you feel unappreciated, you feel that you go unnoticed. It doesn't. Even if brothers don't say nothing, even if the children don't say nothing directly to you, give it time. Right? You get impatient in doing the things that you should be doing. If you're truly doing those things and the law of kindness is in your mouth, see, it's one thing to do something for someone with an attitude. You think you're going to get recognized. You think people are going to praise you when you say, man, here you go. Here's your plate. Enjoy. Right? Or if you're saying it pleasantly, dinner's ready, everyone. And then what does people say? They say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right? That's what this is going into. Your people will praise you and tell you how great of a person you are. Right? And that will be your satisfaction outside of the reward that you're going to get from the Most High, of course. But you get rewarded with compliments from others. Other people say that you're good. Other people say that you're virtuous. Other people mention you as a Proverbs 31 woman, and you say, "Thank you, I appreciate it." You accept it that you are demonstrating these qualities, but you realize and go back to the mirror and say, "Well, I do have things to work on, but all praises to the Most High for the progress." That is how you would respond to the praise that you would get from your family. And the part about, let me break down 29. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. That is the praise that the husband and the children are getting, right? Best mom ever, best wife ever. Man, I know there's a lot of good women, but I have the best. That is what people will say to you. Okay, when you are considered, and actually, the Lord wants you to know that He considers you to be virtuous. You will fit all of this criteria that we spoke about in class today. Let's go ahead and finish.
God. Verse 30. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain.
Mhm.
But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised.
That is the conclusion. Okay? Favor or charm is deceitful. Beauty is vain, vain or worthless because it fades. But a woman that fears the Lord, the conclusion of the whole matter, she is the one that will be praised. So this kind of woman understands where the praise comes from, right? And how that praise should be attained through fear of the Lord, through the humbling of herself. And obviously, that would go right back into the class. First things first, right? The very end from the very beginning. Read verse 31.
God. Salaki. Man. Verse 31. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates.
And when you see a virtuous woman, Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, woman, and child, you should give her her flowers. Right? You should give her her flowers. You should commend her. Okay. You should do it often because, again, she is rare. And with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God. This has been the conclusion of our series, Woman Thou Art Loosed. I pray that you all have been edified. If you have any questions or comments, reach out to me. As you can see, if you're on the YouTube, we have our bulletin point here. Right, for more information on how to join the community, contact us at sosaints.community@gmail.com. Okay, and of course, all of our people are welcome. If you would like more information, if you want to know what exactly we do here, what exactly is the vision, what is the goal, what is the purpose, then hit us up. Okay, we're now opening the sanctuary up for about 1 month, give or take. All right, so those that want to, actually not 1 month, less than that. All right, so we're gonna say one, two. Yes, we're gonna say 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. We're going to be opening up the sanctuary, and we're going to be allowing people to inquire and come in and hear a presentation on what it is that we're going to be doing moving forward. So if you have an interest, go ahead and contact us, anybody that you know inside of the community, of course, and then that email, hit that email saying that you're interested. You will be provided a Zoom link to which you can attend a presentation on exactly what is happening here. Okay. So that is happening starting now. Okay, of course, I want to put this as well up. Make sure you do, of course, like, share, and subscribe to the channel because our mission is to mature, okay, all of us. We want people to be watching these weekly edifications. Okay. So we got the alms. You can send your alms to the community here at this Cash App. We appreciate all of your donations, no matter how large or small. They go to the building of the kingdom. So we appreciate you all for that. All right. So I don't think I have any more announcements. Again, hopefully you all were edified. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns now or in the future, hit me up. Or can the email be dropped in the chat? Yes. Let's put that. Can we get that? Yeah. I think it's, can we get somebody to put that in the chat? So with that, we're going to go ahead and conclude for today. I pray that you all go back, listen. Again, these classes that we did for sisters, they're building blocks. I want to say this too. They're for the little girls. You have to get this right for the younger generation. Right? You might not be the virtuous woman, but it could be your daughter, it could be your niece. You have to show her the right way. You have to train these young ladies up. We're gonna have another generation that grows up here in Babylon. Right? The Lord was kind of dealing with me on the understanding of the timing of us being in this place. We're going to have another generation here. Unfortunately, if 10 years counts as a generation, we have to. These classes are important for the young women that we want to bring up in righteousness. That's what we're. This is what it's ultimately for. Yes, it's for you to get your life together and for you to mature, but it's to make sure that we're bringing up these little girls the right way. Okay, so I'm glad that I did this and that it is on the record, that it is a part of our channel, and it's something that I will be referring women to as they seek to join the community. Okay. If you don't have Cash App, if you don't have Cash App, I'm seeing a question here. Then you can do PayPal. Okay, I have a PayPal. If that can be dropped in that chat as well, or on Clubhouse for those that are on YouTube watching. Okay, I can put. I think Sister Demi, if you can put your my PayPal, I know you know that. All right. And then the email. Well, sister, I know who you are, so I'll just text you the email. So, all right, and then please give me your feedback. I would like the feedback as well for from sisters as far as how you guys thought the lessons were. If you thought that I could have added some other things or missed some things, wanted me to talk about some other things more, I do appreciate feedback as well. Okay, so let's get this PayPal in the chat if we can, and then I will text the uh, the PayPal. I mean excuse me, the email. All right. So with that, I'm gonna give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. Till next time, shalom.